So what is going on, guys? My name is Ash and welcome back to a brand new video. So today we're going to be talking about the new Scorestreak variants in Infinite Warfare, and we actually have details on absolutely every single one of them. Like, we actually have the information on all of the variants. We don't just know they're there. Like, I literally have the information for all of them. But before we get into that, I'd appreciate it if you guys could drop a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new, so you never miss out on any videos like this one. I also have a video coming out later on new stuff which is being added to Infinite Warfare, which no one has covered either. But on that note, guys, I hope you enjoy the video. Have a very good day. Peace out. So I'm done messing around, guys. I'm just going to get straight into it and tell you all of the information on the Scorestreak variants. Be prepared, some of them are pretty cool. So far there are variants for the UAV, the Scarab, the Scorchers and the Warden, and I'm going to tell you the different variants for each of them now. So starting off, there is a rare variant for the UAV called the Pack Rat. It costs 500 salvage, so you can definitely buy them with salvage. Whether you can get them with COD points or supply drops or whatever you want to call it, I'm not too sure, but so far it is confirmed that it is 500 salvage to get it. And what it gives you is Steadfast, and that means it stays active for a longer period of time, and Fragile, which means it has less health than normal. So it basically means it's easier for people to take out, but that UAV lasts longer. Personally, I don't mind it being taken out as quickly because, you know, it's just a UAV. It's only like a few 100-point streak. And if you have people that don't actually like to take out streaks, it's pretty good because you've basically got a longer UAV. Now, there is also a legendary variant called the UAV Carapace, and that costs 1000 salvage to get. And its first passive, which basically means its change, is called Padded, which means it's able to survive an additional shot from explosive projectiles, which basically means people that are going to try and take it out, they have to put more into it to take it out. So the second passive is called Depleted, which means it's active for a shorter period of time. So it's going to be able to take more shots, but it's active for a shorter period of time pretty much. So it's basically the complete opposite to the UAV Pack Rat, which I've just talked about. Next up is the epic UAV called the UAV Kickback. Now this costs 2000 salvage, and its first passive is called Teamwork, which increased the assist points you actually get from each kill from the UAV. So normally you'd see it's 10, that's been increased. So far we don't know the exact number of assist points we're going to get from it, but it's increased. The second passive is called Pricey, which means it's got a higher score streak cost, which means it's actually going to take 625 score without hardline to get. Now moving on to the Scarab, the first variant is called the Scarab Frostbite, and that is actually a rare. It costs 500 salvage, and its first passive is called Frigid, which means it has an increased frost duration, and the second passive is called Blunt, which has smaller lethal damage radius. So it's basically saying it increases how long someone's frozen for, but in return it's got less lethal damage. I don't know how I feel about that. The next variant is called the Scarab Torque, I think you say, Torque, and it is a legendary variant. It costs 1000 salvage, and the first passive is called Swift, which gives it a quicker movement speed, and the second passive is Dense, which has a higher chassis weight. Now I actually don't know what that means, but it says it hinders vertical boost. Now the last Scarab variant is called the Scarab Spectre, and it is an epic which costs 2000 salvage. Now the changes on this one is that it has stealth, which gives it a lower sound output, and it also is sluggish, which means it moves at a slower speed. So it's quieter, but it's slower. Now none of these require any extra score to get. They all cost 450 points in game. But yeah, that's all of them for the Scarab. Now moving on to the Scorchers, there is a rare variant called the Crossbow, which costs 500 salvage, and its first passive is called Precision Strike, which means all planes will strike at the same point, so they're not going to strike in different places. And the second passive is called Lone Scorcher, which means planes no longer fly in formation and they'll come in one at a time, so they're not going to all come in at once. The legendary variant for the Scorchers is called the Scorchers Pulsar, and that costs 1000 points, and the first passive is called Swift, which means it has a faster movement speed, and it's pricey, which means it has a higher score streak cost, which means instead of costing 800 score in game, it now costs 875. Now the last variant for the Scorchers is actually my favourite. It's called the Scorchers Hydra, and it is an epic, of course. It costs 2000 salvage, and the first passive is called Split Strike, which means you can manually choose strike locations for each of the planes. So you can basically choose where each plane goes instead of them all going in one place. That's actually really effective, because I know that most of the time when I use the Scorchers, most of the people move after the first plane, you know what I mean? And the second passive is called the Lone Scorch, which means the planes no longer fly in formation and come in one at a time like in the other variant. Interestingly, the point cost is actually still 800, which means you don't have to do any more to get it than you normally would for a normal Scorchers. But yeah, them ones are pretty cool, you know. Now moving on lastly to the Warden. The first variant is called the Warden Watchdog, and it is a rare. It costs 500 salvage, and passive 1 is called Extra Flare, which means it has an additional flare, which is pretty self-explanatory. And the second passive is called Depleted, which means it's active for a shorter period of time, so you're going to have to sacrifice the time it has in the air for an extra flare. Now the next Warden is a Warden Reactor, and it's a legendary. It costs 1000 salvage. Passive 1 is Energy, which has a high output energy based weapon, which we haven't seen on a Warden before. And passive 2 is called Cannon Offline, which means the rear turret no longer functions. Now lastly out of all the variants is called the Warden Showtime. Obviously this one's an epic, and it costs 2000 salvage. And passive 1 is called Ammo Swap, which means the rear turret now fires bullets, and passive 2 is Rusted Turret, which means turrets have a slower rate of fire. That sounds alright, you know. Let me know what you think of that one. But that basically sums it up for all the variants. It's been pretty tiring going through all of that. But let me know what you guys think of all these variants, whether you think they're good. In my personal opinion, I think they've done a good choice in making them available through Salvage. But yeah, I'd appreciate it if you guys could drop a like on the video. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new, so you never miss out on any Infinite Warfare news. Like I promise you, 9 times out of 10 I will deliver the news quickest. It's just because my channel's not very big that you don't see the videos. But on that note guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a very good day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.